before we get into the tour of the 8x4x4 enclosure, I want to apologize to you guys because I couldn't show you guys how I build my enclosure from top to bottom, how I seal it, how I do my electrical, because I built this enclosure before I made my YouTube channel. So I want to apologize for that, but I figured I'll show you guys a few preparations that, go into building my enclosure. So here it is. I'm just breaking down this coconut coir. The brand is Plantonix. That's a 10-pound brick. I use 4 of those bricks, so that's a total of 40 pounds of coconut coir. Use extremely hot water to break it down. And here I'm just sanitizing the cork bark pieces, just cleaning off any, would-be bird poop, any spiders or anything like that before I put it into the closure. And I'm just using just just hot water. No soap or anything like that. Just a bucket of scalding hot water, and I'm just scrubbing it down, taking care of any unnecessary, hitchhikers and critters, or like I said, any bird poop or anything like that. So, just rinsing it down real quick. And then the next clip is going to be a short video of my doors and my 2x4s that I painted with the dry lock. Once again, I want to apologize to you guys for not being able to show you guys how I build my enclosures. But what I'll do is I'll build a smaller version and run you guys through the whole process from the top to the bottom. How I seal my enclosures, how I install my lights, and how I snap it together. YouTube, what's the deal? KS Monitor's back with another one. Couldn't have y'all waiting too long. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. I want to give you guys a quick tour of the 8x4x4 enclosure I built for the ARGUS monitor, my boy Charmander. So on the front, of course, as you can see, I got the heavy duty hinges, locks, that's a must. Got to make sure the security is there at all times. And the inside of the enclosure, I got 4 basket bulbs at the top. I'm going to add in the 5th at the bottom of the platform. UVB bulb, of course. Got to have that, On the right side, I got a heat emitter to keep those temperatures dialed in at all times. On the bottom, I got a 5-gallon cement tub for the water reservoir for him to soak in and swim, get exercise. Substrate, of course, 40 pounds of coconut coir. 28 quarts of forest floor. Got some driftwood in there, some cork bark, some flats, some tubes. Basking platform, I got slate tile. Of course, I had that cut and sized. I did that myself using the grinder. Slight work, nothing too fancy. On the outside, as you can see, I got a pipe insulation just to keep those temperatures and humidity in at all times. Figured I'd throw that in there as well. So here's a few extended clips of Charmander inside of the enclosure. As you can see, he's loving it. He's checking out every inch, every crevice, every corner of the enclosure. When I mean he's happy, he's happy, man. And when I seen this, it just made me feel good, man, to be able to provide and give him what he needs, And he was definitely up for a new upgrade. He grew out of that 4x2x2 too fast, way too fast. So, I'm glad I was able to build this 8x4x4 and get it done in a decent enough time for him. So, yeah, as you can see, he's up there on the basking platform. Just checking it out. Moving around in different areas of the enclosure. As you can see at the bottom of the basking platform, I added a 5th light. Just to keep those ambient temperatures where I need them to be. This is, a huge enclosure. It's very wide, so I had to throw an extra bulb in there. And here he is running down that piece of driftwood. Getting plenty of exercise. Now it's time for him to really, start to put on, a lot of muscle now. Burning a lot of calories at the same time, but putting on muscle. So yeah, now he has the adequate space to, move around and get that exercise, to keep that blood flowing, to keep those joints fresh. This is why I love, bigger enclosures. So here he is, inspecting the enclosure, smelling the substrate, taking everything in. As soon as I put him in his enclosure, he started to drag his butt around and rub up against every piece of cork bark, every branch, every part of the enclosure. He had to make sure he left his scent and his mark, to mark his territory. As you can see, he's just, filling everything out, taking in all the new smells. This guy's a monster. He's putting on size at a very, very fast rate. He's only 5 months. He'll be 6 months next month on the 5th. So he still has a long way to go. He's still, considered a juvenile. So yeah, he's still, inspecting his enclosure, walking back and forth, smelling around, digging. I'm glad I put that 5th light underneath the basking platform too, because I noticed he loves that a lot. He just goes back and forth from the bottom to the top. And that platform is about 22 inches up high. So from the towels to the basking bulbs, I would say it's around anywhere from about, I'll say 12 to 14 inches. The bulb underneath the basking platform, of course, is a little closer. I believe that's about 10 inches from surface to bulb. But he loves it. That bulb is not too close. He's not gonna, get any thermal burns or anything like that, because the ambient temperatures are where they need to be. If the ambient temperatures were low, let's say like in the 60s or the low 70s, and he went to bask, underneath these bulbs, it's potentially, can cause him to get thermal burns if that ambient temperature isn't correct. You never want to have your ambient temperatures low to the point to where your animal's body temperature is, in the 60s or the 70s, and all of a sudden when the basking bulbs come on and your basking platform is 130, 140, you don't want him to go underneath that and, get burnt, because that's exactly what's going to happen if your ambient temperatures are not correct and where they need to be. So it's a must, that we keep these ambient temperatures where they should be at all times. That's why I got so many bulbs in my enclosure, on top of my heat emitter that I keep running 24/7. And I'm still testing out this enclosure. We'll see as the days go by, as the weeks go by. Once the coconut coir starts to dry up, the enclosure will start to heat up even more. So that's gonna let me know, if I need to cut the heat emitter off. So we'll see in a few days. But so far so good. So here's another extended clip of him just rambling around. And he's loving that water bowl too. Every time I come in the room, he's in that water bowl swimming around. He loves it. And I'm actually gonna upgrade that water vessel to something way bigger in the future. And like I said, this is a temporary setup. This is a temporary 8x4x4 enclosure. Because remember, Argus monitors are considered to be a tropical species, so I keep my humidity high at all times. When you see that the 90%, 92% range on that humidity gauge, that's because, of course, I just built the enclosure and the substrate is still, still fairly wet. So that's why the humidity is in the 90s. But I usually keep my humidity around anywhere from the 70 to the 80 range. So in a few days, of course, the humidity will start to level out and it'll start to drop to the 70 or 80 range, which is the sweet spot for me. This is how I house my Argus monitor. So yeah, it's in the 90s right now. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to cause any damage. So here's another clip. The lights had just came on probably about 15 minutes ago. So, he's starting to poke his head out from underneath that piece of cork bark. So he's just moving slow right now, of course. We all know these are cold-blooded animals, so, takes him a little time to warm up. But here he is. The first thing he's going to do is start to bask. And once he heats up his body, he knows it's time to eat. So he's just taking his time right now, moving like a turtle. Taking it all in, sticking that tongue back and forth. The food's already in the bowl. Yes, I use doggy bowls for my Argus monitor. I treat him like a king. He doesn't know about eating his food off of substrate or off a paper plate. He's eating out of a doggy bowl. And that's just what it is and how it's going to be. That's my boy. Nothing but the best. So as you can see, he went straight under the basking platform. He's going to heat his torso up in the base of that tail. And once he heats the base of that tail up, it's a wrap. He's going to turn it to a firecracker, and he's on 100 for the rest of the day. So this is his initial bask. AM bask. So yeah, he's loving it. So yeah, after about 7 or 8 minutes of basking, he finally got that engine going. So now he's taking down some fresh rainbow trout on top of some fresh brown Gulf Texas shrimp. And like I was saying about the ambient temperatures, the lowest my temperatures drop, once the lights go out at night, the temperatures drop to 75, which is my sweet spot. That's where I like to keep it. So remember, the basking bulbs just turned on, so that's why the ambient temperature says 75. But after about an hour or two, the ambient temperatures jump to the mid 80s. I say anywhere from about 83 to 86, which is my sweet spot. That's my range. That's the numbers I shoot for. So yeah, I want to leave you guys with this video, man. You guys stay tuned. I'll be dropping more content. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Peace.